Living longer, living healthier, living better than ever before. Welcome to Mountain Pacific's Healthy Living for Life, a weekly series that gives you the information, education, and expert insight you need to become an active participant in today's ever-changing healthcare climate. Here now is today's program host.
Identity theft occurs more often than you think. In fact, each year, millions of people fall victim to this faceless crime. What can you do to make sure it doesn't happen to you? Today's experts are from the Montana Department of Justice and the Department of Insurance. They're here to discuss warning signs and share simple steps you can take to avoid becoming a victim of fraud. Welcome to this episode of Healthy Living for Life, a show dedicated to helping you do just that. I'm your host, Lisa Sather. Stay tuned. My guests are Attorney General Tim Fox from the Montana Department of Justice and Ryan Sullivan, Investigator, Office of Consumer Protection. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Hey, thanks, Lisa.
Thank you. So first, let's talk about some of the common types of email scams that consumers may come across. You know, the phishing, the spam scams, and can you tell us how our viewers can look out for those and what they can do?
Sure. So with the advent of the internet and mobile devices, computers and all of that, we're seeing a real rise in phishing and spam email scams. Now, phishing is spelled P-H-I-S-H-I-N-G. And what these are is they tend to be very sophisticated. They look very legitimate. They're emails that may show up in your email box that ask you for personal information or possibly even threaten that they're going to stop a service or cancel a credit card or something like that. And they look very legitimate. They have company logos on them often, and they really are designed to make you fall for a scam. And so we're just making sure that Montana consumers are aware of this and that they be very, very cautious. We suggest that if you get an email like this, first of all, you need to know that businesses like your banks, credit card companies and whatnot don't do business this way. They don't ask for personal information from your over the email. They might be asking for your bank account number or your credit card number or maybe a social security number, or they're suggesting that you need to click on a link to go update your personal information, make a payment, whatnot. And again, legitimate businesses don't do business this way. And certainly we want to make sure that Montana consumers don't ever share their personal information like bank account and credit account numbers, social security, what have you, over the email. This is a very insecure way to do things. One way they can protect themselves is if they get an email that looks legitimate from a business or a charity or an organization that they actually know and perhaps interact with, call that company, call the bank, call the credit card company. There's a number on the back of your card, and make sure that it's legitimate, and don't be pressured or threatened into making an immediate response, which you may end up doing any number of things. And if you feel like you've compromised your information, you want to call that bank or that credit card company or that organization and have them take the account down or cancel the credit card. These are some of the things that Montana consumers can do to protect themselves, but just be very suspicious.
Thank you, thank you. Wonderful. So Ryan, let's talk a little bit about some of the common internet scams that are out there. I believe they're called adware or spyware. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So adware and spyware is software that's installed on your computer without your knowledge or consent. It can track and monitor your computer usage. We tell folks to look for signs on their computer that they might have contracted one of these viruses. You'll see sluggish computer performance. You'll see a barrage of pop-ups. Your web browser might take you to sites that you wouldn't normally go to, the icons, toolbars, and it's important to recognize these so you can get your computer repaired. We recommend that people always update their operating software, their web browser software, always use antivirus, and just make sure they're being careful where they click. Any sorts of pop-ups or spam emails, we really want to be careful where we're navigating on the internet.
Great, thank you. Attorney General Fox, any information or anything you can give us on social media sites, scams, Facebook, those kinds of things?
Well, you know, what we see oftentimes is you'll get messages over Facebook or social media accounts, again, asking for personal information. Perhaps there's a link for an online jackpot type game or what have you. And we just, again, recommend that you be very suspicious and cautious of these things, particularly when they come to from someone that you don't know, and that you don't, again, share any personal information over the internet through these social network sites, and that you don't click on any of the links, because you might get the malware, and you might also be duped into giving some personal information that you'll regret later.
Thank you. So we have about, a minute or minute and a half left. So I really do want to hear about what happened to you a couple years ago, because it sounds like you were the victim of a social media scam.
Right. None of us are immune to this. Someone actually used a photograph off one of my websites to go online and create an online dating site, and unfortunately a woman in Indiana was scammed out of $150,000. I guess she fell in love with this individual. Turns out it was a Nigerian national. After law enforcement got involved, the woman reported it. There were 2 other women from Ohio that actually fell for this. The guy called himself John Tony Hagan and used my photograph. Law enforcement in Indiana and New Jersey eventually tracked him down. He had left the country. But when he came back, they were able to apprehend him. He was prosecuted. He got 36 months in jail with all but 26 suspended, had to pay restitution and a $16,000 fine. So again, no one's immune to these things. My wife joked when I told her about this, she joked that she didn't know what those women saw in me. And it's really no laughing matter, of course, and so everyone should be very cautious about being on the internet, sharing personal information, and certainly not giving money to people you don't know.
Wow, that's a crazy story. So thank you for sharing that with us. Well, thank both of you, and we're going to take a short break here. We'll be right back after this commercial to learn more how you can safeguard yourself. Stay tuned.